Hello and welcome to the Sam and Bucky Squared show. And wow, what an episode to talk about on this lovely Friday night. I'm Candace and this is Bucky J. Barks, the Winter Borker over here
Love him.
from the Geeky Waffle. And with me is...
Hello, I'm Maggie from Your Money Geek and Twitter.
I'm Arzu from the Geeky Waffle and arzud2.com.
Hello, I'm Norhal from Twitter.
Hi, I'm NB Adams from, Twitch and Twitter, pretty much.
Great. Okay, and oh my god, like I said, the Sam and Bucky Squared show. And we're talking about The World is Watching, which is something that people would say during the Vietnam War.
Wow.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Not a great sign. Not a great sign right away.
No. Okay, see, Bucky already knows I'm upset. He's like, pet me, please.
Aww.
Here, I should just put the camera on him. There we go.
Bucky.
It's better. It's better. Focus. Okay. So let's just go straight into the episode. We flashbacks to 6 years ago, which is really only 1 year ago for Bucky.
Yes.
Wow.
And we see Oria like helping him
God.
and realizing like they cured him. Her and Shuri.
Yeah.
Work done.
My poor boy.
So sweet. It was so sweet. Also immediately crying. I don't know. I was like already a bit emotional, feeling like something was coming in this episode. But I feel like, so we're gonna start right away with crying.
We're starting at a 10. We're starting at a 10.
Ahead.
Yeah, and then we link back to the first episode when he said, I had a little piece in Wakanda. Yeah, we see.
Yeah. It's just also really great for the people who aren't watching like as into the movies and the TV continuity to help like clue them into what the connection is between Bucky and Ao.
Yes.
I think anytime we can just go to Wakanda for whatever reason.
Can we just go there?
I'm
Can everyone
okay
just
with
go
it.
there and like be safe?
It honestly, it does feel so safe, even in the context, like as a viewer, like we start the episode there and like, whew, I can breathe for a couple minutes because we're in Wakanda. Everything's going to be okay.
I know. And I like how they chose Ayo on the last episode at the end is that, well, she mentions later that she's been there, like she was there when King T'Chak was dead, it was killed, and we saw her in Civil War with T'Challa. So she's been there. So, and it's good that they chose her as this link with Wakanda. That was good.
Yeah, like Noral and I, who are like crazy Marvel people, were like, there's no reason for it. And finally they explained it for the general audience who's like, I maybe saw Civil War or not. And people were like, who is that? And I'm like, ugh. Okay. But yeah, that was great. So she gives him 8 hours because Zemo is a means to an end, Bucky says. And yeah, Maggie has some opinions on Zemo.
We're taking a Zemo drink. Okay.
Yeah.
We take a drink every time we say Zemo, we're going to be gone by the end of the episode.
I have a whole bottle of whiskey here to do that too.
So a lot of this episode, they keep going back to Zemo's apartment. And I'm like, is this because like COVID or something? Because it felt weird. It's like, let's go back to the apartment.
They were just, okay, they've been on the run. They're really tired. It's safe. Just like lay on the sofa, have a drink, chill, take a shower.
Have tea time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that also
Look at him.
I feel like, Sam and Bucky are just like, they don't get a lot of the finer things. I feel like they're like good I feel like when I go to a hotel, I'm the same way. Like, yeah, it's usually on vacation and people are like, let's leave the hotel. But I'm like, no, honey. If it's a nice hotel, we're staying here all day. I think Sam and Bucky are like that. They're like, no, we got a nice place. It had a big bathtub.
Yeah.
It did.
That place was nice. Like good, like,
also,
natural lighting and everything. Nice kitchen.
The windows with hexagons.
Another with stars.
Yeah, there's a star, but there are also hexagons.
Beside it.
Oh. Hey, but we know also they're both so what?
Sokovian. Yes.
They're both Sokovian delights.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I just love this, like they're talking about what super soldiers mean, and they're saying like, oh, well, that's how like the Nazis got started in the Avengers, and like Sam's like, not them. I mean, not You're talking about our friends. Avengers, not the Nazis.
I love that line. Bucky's just like, just to be clear.
Yeah, let's just clarify that because I mean, technically,
Especially for Bucky. He's
Yeah.
like, hang on.
Actually fought Nazis.
Definitely not the Nazis.
Yeah. I feel like it's so funny. I think the writing team on this show has already just shown that they're really good. And that's one of those just really good little gems that they're like, well, Bucky actually fought Nazis. So I feel like he has to be the one to be like, for the record, actually. You know, Sam could kind of just let it go by like, I know what I meant, you know? But Bucky is like, hang on a second. Wait.
Like, I got opinions. So, like, then there's a scene with Carly and the other Flag Smashers, and they're watching the news reports, like, oh, yeah, you're terrorists now. Congratulations.
Good job, Carly.
Good job, Carly.
Good job.
Sorry, that screenshot is so funny. Like, she just looks like everybody is like, what did you do? And she's like, I thought I was doing good.
And as we know later on, I'd kill him again. Wait, I don't mean that
They
like
got
that.
my way. I mean, that's not what. That's
Like,
not what-
oops.
Yeah.
You tricked me. Like, no, you meant it.
Yeah. So then we find out they still have serum. They're still the ones with the serum, and they're deciding that they need to make some more super soldiers.
Yes, and we came back to we can link back to the previous episode where Simon said, "Oh, do we want a world where there's another Red Skull?" I mean, because we don't know who is going to end up having that super soldier serum. It could be someone's really bad. So
I feel like Carly's supposed to be like in her early 20s. Like,
Yeah,
very
as
early.
old as Aaron is. Aaron's what, like 24?
Something like
Aaron-
that.
Aaron,
That's a great question. Yeah, I think so. I think it's really interesting. I'm really latching on to her as a character. Like I feel like growing up, I think I've just known some. I think obviously way less violent, random violence as far as, but like anarchists or just like I think people who are like activists and who do sort of see a world like I think that's what they've done really well with the bad guys in general is have their goal be very actually like how Sam keeps saying like it's not bad what they want to do. Like at the end of the day, what they're doing is good. Like, they're redistributing resources. But so it was interesting trying to see how they were really going to turn her into a villain. And I think that happened a lot this episode.
It's the execution of it all. Like, he agrees with like the idea, but the methods aren't the right way.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's 22 years. Aaron.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like all the Flag Smashers seem like they're very young.
Yeah.
And just something that I love is like we have another scene like where Sam and Bucky are talking about the Flag Smashers, and Sam is just so sympathetic to them. He was blipped, but he understands like what they're going through. He's talking about how like for these 5 years, like borders were open, people had homes, and then they get displaced. And this guy's like has his own stuff to deal with, but he still had the time to like research and learn and understand these people. And it just like time and time again, it's like proving why Sam was chosen by Steve.
Yes, and that was a good point because, I mean, if half of the people goes away, obviously you're gonna need manpower. You're gonna need someone to work on the fields or whatnot. So it makes sense that please open borders, but then that people come back. Oh yeah, you know what? Go away. Yeah.
My age, damn girl. Yeah.
As long as you're not murdering anyone, I think you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
If we're comparing.
Yeah, I think you're doing great if you haven't blown up a building with some people in it when it didn't look like you needed to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Look at that bar. It's on the ground. So, okay, we're skipping ahead, but because we forgot the most insane scene is Zemo with his Turkish delights. And Bucky and Sam are trying so hard to get information, but no one's telling them anything. So Zemo goes to children.
Can I just say
Queen.
Can I just say that I really enjoyed this whole thing because like I thought that Zemo's gonna like turn on them and like get this information and do something on his own, but he didn't really. He still ended up giving them the information. He went there with them. that he worked with his associate, the child. I also like the connection too because he's a father who lost his child, and so like he has that like fatherly, like he's just odd.
Can I just say he's saying Baba Black Sheep, and like
Baba Black Sheep.
That's something my father sang to me as a child and toddler. He even had a little custom version of it, and I don't know how my father knew it because he grew up in India. It's a very like, you know,
Yeah,
It's very English and
Yeah.
like
it's very English. Yeah.
but I think he must have like heard it somewhere and thought that this is what American parents do to their kids. Like sing to their kids. So it was just very weird to hear Zemo kind of creepily going, bah, bah, bah. Like, no, my childhood.
It's like it was chilling. It wasn't like I know we love Zemo, but it was more chilling than anything else.
I know.
I mean,
I don't know if that's just his demeanor or
I feel like we love Zemo. Like it's always one of those things where they
We
made
love
this
him.
show.
We love.
It's like the Resident Evil tall woman. It's like, look, I don't know what they were going for. It was supposed to be a villain, right? It didn't happen. It didn't work.
That's
I'm
it.
and then
sorry.
everyone saw her and said, "Crush me, tall woman."
Exactly. It was like that with Zemo. Like I knew he was coming back in this show, but it really
I
is.
knew
a
you were
thing
trouble.
where- Yeah, he came in with. They gave him such style and stuff that I'm like, I think they were trying to make it creepy, and in a way it was. But for me, I was also completely disarmed as soon as he mentioned that his kids, and I was like, oh, it's actually less creepy now, even though it's still kind of creepy.
Can I just say that I was really hoping for Bucky to make a comment about Narnia since like he'd already mentioned J.R.R. Tolkien, and so I was like, oh, C.S. Lewis, like they were friends, but, like
The Snow Queen.
perfect
Maggie,
time to make a comment.
your take on Turkish delights.
Oh, Turkish delights. Okay, so when I was a child reading Chronicles of Narnia, I convinced my mother to get Turkish delight. It was the
Same.
most, but we have a Sokovia delight now, so that's okay with me.
We'll call it that. Man. That's
Is that your
only what
nickname for
we'll call it.
Zemo, Maggie?
Yes, it
Korean
is.
delight. Okay. Well, we approve. I'll allow it.
Oh, speaking of Sokovian, I'm gonna bring this up. He's just gonna extort you and do that stupid head tilt thing, which was very Wanda.
Wanda.
I also love that as soon as Sam said it, you see him like look back and then like he goes, I'm not tilting
Actually-
Are
my
they implying that the head tilt is like a Sokovian threat
That's what
now?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Wait, does that mean he does the Sokovian dance, the putting his hand?
Oh yeah.
He's gonna show back up in the next episode and cover their eyes.
And then like, Bucky's gonna punch that
Bucky and it's like, guess who?
in the punch.
Oh, I can't with this. This is so funny. Oh my, Zemo. Oh,
Yeah.
good.
But yeah, it was nice to see that both Sam and Bucky were asking like, oh, Daniel, asking the name of the lady.
Oh yeah, Arzu, you got a special tidbit about
I
her.
do. So, Mama Dunya, or Dunya Madani, is literal Persian for civil world.
Whoa.
It's just like we were talking today. We're like, is that on the nose or is that like really profound? And I'm like, it's profound because people forget Persian's a thing. So it's not on the nose if nobody knows it's there.
That's
But
lovely.
yeah,
But
so
how they were looking for the name and nobody wanted to give them any information. But then Simo goes using his charm, even creepy a little bit with that song. But he was.
But you know, like in Sam, the teacher that he was talking to knew he was an Avenger.
Yeah.
And again, they have lost hope in the Avengers because
Can I just say, I loved Sam walking through the building being like, I'm looking for Mama Danya. I'm looking for That's an awesome way to get information. Like,
And also, it's
none
like
of them have
dude,
ever seen a spy movie.
literally,
Like,
everybody's like, hello, I'm closing my window.
Yeah.
I do not want to talk to you.
he's like, I guess they don't know I'm here, and he just keeps going.
And
Bucky's
it's like,
the same thing. I'm
did
like,
you
"Guys,
assume
you both need
that-
to watch more movies.
And it, did he also assume that everyone speak English?
Yes.
Well, yes.
I think
mean,
that's
he
what
is
was happening to
American.
me at first. I was like, do they even know? I was like, wait, what country are we in again? Kind of thing. I'm always like that with
Yeah.
TV, though. I always forget. Like, I'm like, are we in a country where they don't normally speak English? And then I have to be like, it's a movie. The people who made it speak English. And I'm like, okay. But yeah, I was having that moment where I was like, what is with that? Or like, I love that they're the boldness of any of the Avengers. They are always kind of like, they really do act that like, hello, can you help me? But I love the nuance of the Flag Smashers because it's very much like that. The teacher just had a point too, where I felt like, he's talking about the Avengers, but I think it's also pointing to just government in general and like people who organize resources in general. It's like, they don't always do great. And especially I love that they are adding so much to the blip now through the MCU shows like they did with Wanda, where now we're really getting context for a lot of what happened after that blip. And so you can really see it in that teacher that he was like, no, things were good. And then y'all came back and they're bad. And so look, like, I actually know who you are, but I have to go.
Thanos, right?
It was Thanos' fault. No, but, and he also mentioned it's like the ERC said they were going to send resources, they were going to send food and teachers and whatnot. And it's been 6 months and we haven't seen anything. So
this was the first time I think that I really started to understand just the geopolitical state of things with half the population gone, the way that so many jobs would open up, there wouldn't be unemployment, there wouldn't be a housing crisis. There's all of these things that did unfortunately get markedly better without half of the population. And then to just be like, okay, well, sorry that you had like a decent life for the last 5 years. You're on the street because everyone's back and they matter more than you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is just, it's weird to think that because it hasn't really been talked about so much, and now it's still just kind of like hints of it.
Yeah, the only stuff we saw in Endgame was like Steve going to like a support group, and he did say, "Oh, I saw whales in the Hudson or like somewhere." Like
the Hudson,
whales in the Hudson.
Yeah. And he's like, "Oh," and like Natasha's like, "Oh, you're trying to be positive about this," and he's like, "Maybe." But yeah, that's the only thing we hear really.
And that's before everybody comes back.
Yeah,
right?
so like that's the only thing we're like, oh, everyone's so sad, and we see like the streets where Scott is walking, and it's all destitute, and that kid's like, "Don't talk to me" on his bike.
That's to be fair, though, that kid did have an appropriate response for some random person coming up to me and being like, "What happened here?" I also would be like,
"You mean
who the hell?"
I'm taking off. I also really liked, as far as going back to the like Zemo and the kids, and sort of basically I like that they reminded that Zemo is also like really smart. I was really worried about him this whole time, right? When they're like Dora Milaje, they got 8 hours, and at any second I'm kind of like, when are they just gonna pull in the door and drag him away? Because they can, right?
Yeah, they definitely can.
They can, and they would be right.
But I loved that this was one of those things where he was kind of a step ahead, because it's also like he got the information that they wanted, and then he was like, well, now you can't get rid of me. I have it, and I'll hold on to it, and you'll just carry me some more, right? Like, and I just love that, like, Zemo, I don't know, I'm really interested in sort of where his character will go, and I'm really curious as far as his future. So I don't really know exactly what that means, but I just think that this scene really reminded me, and like how he deals with kids, that he's got more power. Like y'all said, like he's very charming. He has way more power than a lot of the other MCU villains that we've seen, in that he's slippery and people like him.
I mean,
and
he clearly can like jump like handcuffs and everything. Like he's good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he also has resources. I think that's a major thing. He's royalty and he has resources, and he's smart and charming and all these.
And pretty much like any man like could easily blend in if he wanted to.
Yeah.
And not stick out at all.
I know.
Not like Red Skull with the
superheroes.
Red Skull.
Oh God. Try to be the Red Skull and be like with a ball cap on and a hoodie. Just like normal. My name's Gus.
Totally normal.
It works for the Ninja Turtles.
Does it really?
Yeah.
It did on the first movie. It's just Raphael with literally a hat and a coat, and that's it. That's it. That's all you got to do. That's humans.
That's all you need.
80s were a hell of a time.
Yeah. So the Flag Smashers Carly, and I forget the name of her friend.
Nico.
They go to the cemetery, and that's where they're hiding the serum, and they have like a little secret stash. And oh my god, Nico talks about how he actually was a
Hate
fan
it
of
so
Captain
much.
America. And rewatching it the second time, that was just like
Oh
a
my
kick to the
God.
stomach.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nico.
And
My
you know
heart.
what? He wasn't a fan of Captain America. He was a fan of Steve Rogers. Is what we should
Yes.
say.
Yes.
Yes, because they're talking about having this super soldier power, and then and actually it's funny because Carly even mentions that if anything the shield should be destroyed, which was something that Sam mentioned. Was Sam or Bucky? Yeah,
Sam,
Yeah, it was Sam.
Bucky wants to
Sam.
keep it because he
Yeah.
wants to honor Steve, and he
I
wants.
don't know if he wants it now.
yeah.
He wants a new one.
Somebody wash it.
Gonna
Yeah.
melt that
So we'll
cursed
get the
thing down.
sage
And
out and just be like, ugh.
Hey, they take off the scratch that the child
Oh, yeah.
did. So
Yeah, okay.
Oh.
So, yeah, John Walker and Battlestar find them. And they're just like, how did you find us? And Lamar's like, there's 2 Avengers walking around.
like, dude, you guys are not subtle at all.
They're so not subtle.
Like, Bucky has a metal freaking arm.
You got a medal?
And he doesn't hide it.
He doesn't.
Sorry.
And everybody
He's
like people recognize Sam. He's like, you know.
I
It's
know.
so funny. It's also interesting seeing that this is. I feel like in WandaVision, they definitely like people knew about Wanda, and they knew a lot about their. I felt like it was also that scene where it was like Kat Dennings. I'm always like, whenever I think about WandaVision, I'm like Kat Dennings and the supporting cat.
Yeah.
But they basically kind of.
We're Darcy stands over here. So.
Yes.
Yay! I feel like there's a scene where they were basically she kind of knew about Captain Marvel. She like knew stuff that happened on the battlefield at Endgame, And so it's interesting to see that like people know who they are, but I think with this show they're really establishing. I feel like the celebrity of the
Status.
superhero, which is I have always loved that about Marvel, like that Tony was always out, and like the Fantastic Four were always very celebrity. So I love that we're really moving that way into the MCU as well. Like they're celebrities. Like of course we found you, dude. Like
People are like tweeting about you and Instagram posting.
Can you imagine
location
just this
tagging?
circle? Just imagine this circle alone. I don't even know where we're at a bar or something, and you just see the like.
And plus, those 2 men are flipping handsome. I'm gonna notice them walking down the street.
Oh yes.
Can I just say, as somebody from Maryland, no.
Nope.
We don't care.
No, not that part of Maryland, not Baltimore.
Not that part.
We're not going to talk about that because we talked about that, and it's not a. Okay, and they're like, "Why did you get Zemo out?" And like Bucky's like, "I didn't get him out. He got himself out."
technically.
Technically,
Bucky's like, technically, I broke no rules.
Yeah. Bucky's like, "I'm innocent. I have never done anything wrong in my entire life except the stuff I did as a Winter Soldier." Right, Bucky?
He's right. We know and we love him.
Yes, and Zemo has this great line.
He has so many great lines.
He does.
So I'm gonna take another shot.
Oh, I love that. I'm
Yes.
sure it would all come to an agreeable conclusion. Yeah, it was. But before that, it was funny that, you tell your partner, because Sam was like, no, I had to talk to her because John Walker was like, we're going to
He's
go
already
arrest her.
so like
Entitled.
impatient, and so he's demanding action now. And Sam's like, I have experience talking to people. Like that's how we see Sam. Like, well, the second time after like Steve is outrunning him. Hi, I'm sorry. Can I help you?
Yeah, and that was fantastic, and I like that they brought that back.
Yeah,
because that was how we met Sam and Winter Soldier. That they were joking about, on your left and whatnot, and then Steve was already walking away, and he said, "Is the bed?"
Yeah,
he asked him
talks
about
the bed being too hard, and
so
they have that trauma together, and he's working at the VA, counseling people.
Exactly, and I like that because it shows Steve that he's caring about Steve as a soldier, as a human being, not just like the celebrity Captain America. No, he's hey, you want to come by, make me look good with the front girl at the VA office?
He's like kind of joking, but like trying to make like Steve not feel like pressured to do it, but more like a favor to him, even though he knows Steve needs help too.
Exactly. It's like, I know you might need help, and that's good.
Sam was saying like there does not have to be bloodshed. He's like, let's talk first. And that whole scene with Sam talking to
So
Carl.
good.
Yes.
And then
so good.
John Walker had to come and ruin everything.
I know.
No, and kudos to Battlestar, because he was dude, if he can talk her down, it might be worth a try. I mean, he was the voice of reason for.
Yeah, we were talking about this in our group chat. Like, I was like, Lamar is the only reason I think John Walker like got where he was, because he is literally his conscience, literally the person holding him back from doing the stupid things. And it sounds like they had been partners for years. So like, and the thing is, I'll say it again, Lamar would have made a better Captain America than John Walker.
Wow.
He has
Actually,
the same exact skills. And
he already had a name. He had a cool name, you know?
Yes.
You know, it's like, I've already got one name. Like, promote me to a new cool name. But instead, they were like, well, we'll give it to this other guy who doesn't even have a cool code name. He's just John
Give it to this white guy.
Right?
Yeah,
He did the bare minimum.
Because they were looking at the outside, like this is the appearance a Captain America should have. But they were not looking at the Steve Rogers that we know. That, I mean, back when Dr. Erskine met him, he was not, I don't want to kill anyone. I cannot stand bullies. So.
Yeah. Which I think really that really showed, I think that was a big theme happening. Which I was really caught up in the scene as far as like Sam talking to, this like leader of this like terrorist organization, the rest of the world has sort of labeled them, but Sam is coming at it, like you said, like a very human. And I think that's what makes Sam Captain America, right? And I think that's why Steve even gave him the shield. And so it was really a very metaphorical with both Sam and John, like why Sam should have had it in the first place, and very much why John should not have.
There's a really great article that Richard Newby, he does recaps for Falcon and Winter Soldier, and he was talking about how Lamar like represents like what Sam, like what they're worth to the government. He's meant to be a sidekick, because like the second that Sam went off that truck in episode 2 was when he's like, oh, I need a wingman. And like that's what America and the government want from Sam and Lamar, is just to be the sidekicks.
Yes.
I thought there was a really great moment when Sam went to talk to Carly, and Bucky and them were all still in the boiler room. And John was trying to egg Bucky on, and he was like, that's your partner in there, are you just gonna let him be in there by himself? Like, are you like, he was like trying, and of course Bucky's like, he's not my partner. But it was
your boyfriend. No.
It was really interesting to me with what ends up happening with the partner.
Exactly, because the exact same words is, do you want your partner's blood in your hands? It's like, watching it the second time is like, yeah.
But so Walker busts in.
Yeah, and
while like Sam's making really good, he's
right
getting to her. He's getting to
because
her.
and he helps her realize, because at this point when she says there are roadblocks in my journey and I'll kill them again if I had to, I said, whoa, I'm like, hey,
you said it. You still
said it. But and he makes a point like, I'm not your enemy. I understand your fight. I just can't get with the way you are fighting it.
Yeah. And I feel like they made a connection. And I mean, that goes into what happens next. But Walker busts in, because that's what he does. And Carly gets away. And Zemo also, like a magician. Little Jimmy Woo over there. Got his...
He gets out of them handcuffs.
I love chaos.
I love chaos, yeah.
And did you for a second, like, you see him with the serum. And you're like, he's going to smash it, right? Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I never thought for a second that he was gonna like use it. I know a lot of people are like, oh, he's gonna use it. Like, no, he hates.
Yeah.
He hates.
I was like,
I didn't think he was going to use it, but I thought he was going to hoard it and
Yeah.
like use it as leverage, not like
Yeah,
take it.
same.
I like that they sort of like left that for like if you're not necessarily a super fan or even just a mild fan, like they at least left a little bit to make people think. But I also was like, no, he's not gonna do it. But I just loved the moment where he looked at it because I knew he wasn't gonna do it, but it still just filled me with like anticipation of like,
Yeah.
well,
Like, what is he gonna do with that?
then? Yeah, and then so he starts smashing them all, and I just also really love that they highlighted about that because he gave a really good speech about like being a supremacist, you know. And I think obviously in America we tie that immediately to like white supremacy. So it was really odd hearing supremacist by itself, you know, but
Like
also explaining how that works and like how if you're using power to then create fear over people, you know, like, I mean, it's wild to see a villain be like doing that. That's bad. You know what I mean? And obviously we can like analyze some of his hypocrisy here and there. But it was really interesting seeing him like really like solidifying his shtick. Because I feel like with Thanos, I just always thought that was weak, right? Like
It was such a weak thing.
right?
They
like,
should have had him be in love with death. That's what they should. They should have brought Hela and been like, "I'm horny for death. I'm gonna kill half the people for you, baby."
I can
You know,
understand
like
that
the comics.
storyline.
Exactly.
Yes, see, that's a storyline that makes sense. So I was happy
Yeah,
that they gave
horny for
Zemo
death.
one that I was with him a lot of his speeches, and so when he started smashing all of those serums, there was a part of me that was like, yeah, do it, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
I
like,
know, I
it's like
love-
Killmonger and like Carly.
Killmonger
even,
had some really fantastic points. I'm just saying,
Yes.
I'm rooting for
A lot of
him
points.
most of the film.
Those are the best villains, of course. Where we're like,
Yes.
I don't disagree with everything you're saying.
Exactly.
I feel like we need a different category for these characters who aren't technically villains. They're just not following in line with like most of society's group thoughts.
Yeah.
Because like
They're the-
Killmonger had points, Zemo has points, like Carly has points.
Just don't murder people.
You know who doesn't have points? This guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
No.
This guy.
well, let's talk about that. Oh my God, this image right here. This actually, I felt like I should have seen it coming, but it shifted everything really quickly.
Yeah.
I did not
it
see it
did.
coming. I did not.
Yeah. It's seen and he
seen.
was almost done, but then that vibranium shield comes from nowhere.
Oh my
I was so
God.
worried. I was like, oh my God.
Did they kill him? Yeah, did they kill him?
Killed him.
Right?
Unaccepted.
You heard like throughout the nation today, you heard like when everybody saw that scene, you just heard one big, oh baby, like right at one.
That was Maggie.
It was all
Yeah.
But
Baby.
No.
But yeah, there was a really also a great like scene like where he's smashing it and it's kind of like you see it from like the ground's perspective. And I
I know,
just
I
I
love that
appreciate
part.
those little things that like I know somebody was like a
Subtlety.
cinematographer or director was like, this would be really cool to do. Let's do it. You know?
That's the thing I love about the cinematographer and director is that like they're known for doing like very different shot styles. There's a great shot when Bucky walks in as well into the apartment where it's like up in the chandelier and then it like drops down and then follows
Yeah.
him like shaky cam and I was like, oh, I like this. I like this
Yeah.
shot.
Like some of like the conversations, like the camera moves with the conversation,
And the
so it's
people,
longer takes.
everything's really choreographed because I noticed, you know, in a lot of shows, characters stand like here and here and they talk. But in these, it's like they cross here, they look to each other, they cross back, like they move
One will
around.
stand behind the other and they'll both talk this way.
And it's like
Yeah.
really interesting and not what you see often.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's great to see and it's just something like
It
It's
keeps us
cinematic.
engaged. It
Yeah,
keeps
it
us
keeps us
very
engaged.
I agree.
visually
And-
engaged.
Also, when you're having like a very like serious or heated conversation, like I don't know about you guys, but I move around. I don't want to just be sitting and just be like, oh, you know,
No.
with my
Yeah.
I burst into tears. I don't even know what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
so I cry.
If
I
I'm,
break
having,
into
like, if I'm
hives.
angry, I'm just sobbing. I don't even know if I'm walking.
I love that.
Covered
That
in
happens to my partner too. Like as soon as they get emotional at all, they'll cry. But so it's funny when they're angry and they're just like, and people
I'm
are
like
like, "Are you
pacing,
okay?"
I'm
And they're like,
I
"Yes."
got feelings.
Yeah.
My tears are like,
Godzilla.
it's illegal to throw things at you, and I'm crying for it.
Okay, so they go back again to Zemo's Airbnb apartment, whatever it is.
And he has this vibranium-induced headache, like Maggie
Yeah,
said.
I don't think alcohol helps with the concussion, Zemo.
I think it does. I
Worth
think
a try.
But that's a mood. That's a mood. That
he's got a cold compress. He's got some whiskey. He's living his best life. Let him be.
I love that screenshot so much. Like I'm crying. I feel like it's like I feel
We're gonna use that. We're gonna use that a lot
Yeah,
in the
that's-
future.
you know what it is? It's like it's when they show Zemo and it's like him last episode first getting out of prison and looking all great, and one of the shots of the many shots of him last episode, it's like before quarantine, and then it's like this is after quarantine or like
I'm getting myself
pre-pandemic,
a
post-pandemic.
Yeah.
Like
Actually-
he is me during the pandemic, like on Saturdays or Sundays, just like oh god.
And then
Well, meet you all in Madripoor.
and he's us and the dance floor. Like I don't know how
That's
to
how
dance
we're gonna
anymore.
dance when we finally get out again.
Everybody, oh no, I can't. I'm done. Oh god, I'm
Okay,
actually
so
really ready.
just to hit the like nail over the head, whatever. Like Zemo asks Sam, like, "Oh, would you ever take the serum?"
Yes. No.
And Sam instantly says no, just so we know for sure, like him and Walker are complete opposites.
Are the opposite. And it's lovely because then Bucky says like, I know a crazy when I see it one because I am crazy.
I related to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Relate.
But
Yeah.
no, I love like how angry like Bucky is getting, like because I feel like he hasn't had a chance to actually have his own emotions in a while. So like
Yeah.
letting him be angry, letting him be sad.
Yeah,
And-
Sam is precious, like Tiernan says.
Yeah, and Sam is so much like Steve. They kind of have the same dynamic. It's like Bucky's like, let's steal it, and like Sam's like, no, we can't steal it.
Yeah.
They had ample opportunity in this episode to take it.
Oh, speaking of which,
Yeah.
the
Let's talk about
it. Come
My
in.
Yeah.
favorite scene. Oh,
That was
Beautiful.
awesome.
if we could get away with just playing this scene on a loop. During
I
the
know.
stream.
It's like release the door
I
and
would
last
like to.
shot.
Can we talk about when Sam was like, we should do something? And Bucky's like, you're doing great, John.
Looking
Great
good,
job.
John.
There are
Strong
two kind of people.
That was, but
That's
it,
the
it
reason
was,
Bucky can't be Captain America. That's the main reason.
He's just too petty.
But he's a
He's
petty,
so
but
petty.
this is the thing. It tells you how entitled is John Walker. Because he's like, excuse me, you guys have no jurisdiction. Here's like, dude, they
Do you?
fought Thanos. You
Thank you.
faster.
Yeah, and the way
Oh, you have no
that
time here. And like, say his
Yeah.
petulant thing at the end when they leave is like, but they weren't super soldiers. Like, yeah,
They
but they
weren't
handed you your ass anyway.
Yeah, and they've been training since
know.
birth, and they are like an elite force.
Like, not everybody gets to cheat their way to the top, John.
Exactly. I mean, it was so entitled. Like, oh yeah, excuse me. They're like, dude.
He's like your sharp stick thingies. That was
Yeah.
so condescending. They're freaking spears, John.
They're
I
they're
know.
They're
learning a lot of rules, so
vibranium
respect.
spears.
And he,
it's
I mean,
like,
it's so like sexist and racist too, because right, like he's a
Yeah.
soldier. If anything, he should be like, oh, other soldiers.
Yeah.
Hey,
Like-
military people, let's have some kind of connection and whatever. And he immediately is like, no, I'm gonna go condescending. Let me start with condescending and see
You
how that
yeah, actually, my face during that scene was, remember Infinity War when Hulk, well, no, Banner is on the Hulkbuster and then he flops and then Okoye's like, that was my face actually.
I loved when he was like, they don't have jurisdiction here. I'm like, buddy, you are an American in Europe.
Yeah, that's what I don't get. Why aren't you in America, Captain America?
Like
Yeah.
my only
But it's
thought
okay
was
when
the fact
he
that
does it.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's because the GRC
Yeah,
has like
it's a
American
thing.
roots.
And the Sokovian Accords.
And that's just a whole thing because the US has then decided that they get to decide how everybody gets repatriated. And
Not a fan.
I know.
yeah.
It's
Not a
like,
fan of
Jimmy Choo would say, oh, according to the Sokovian Accords. Yeah.
Oh, just when they're
Oh,
fighting and Sam says Bucky, I'm like, that's how I say my dog's name whenever he's doing something bad. He's like, Bucky?
Bucky. I know. I thought that was really interesting. Where I honestly was, like, I don't know. Well, I don't care if it's ridiculous, honestly. But I was like, every time. So there's a thing where when the Dora Milaje are fighting, they often like are looking like they're about to stab one of them, and Bucky and Sam multiple times sort of come in and randomly like grab spears to stop that from happening.
No murder.
Yeah, right. But I'm also like, well, one, I don't necessarily doubt that somebody in the Dora Milaje might do some stabbing here and there. I also am like, can we have a little more respect for these soldiers? We don't know. Maybe they're gonna stab him just in the arm. I feel like there's even a scene where like they like stop something like a piece of cloth or something, but with their spear. So I'm like,
want to pin him to the floor?
Yeah, let's have some more trust. Let's have a little trust.
And can we just talk about how Zima the whole time was just like, I love chaos. I'm just gonna finish my drink. I'm
shattering.
Oh yeah, that was a movie.
Like,
oh my god!
Not to be like super thirsty. RZ, bring that up again. This gun holster look is like really working for me.
Actually, that's another mood during Twitter discourse and such. That's me. Like, oh, okay.
I was like, that's a great look. That's a really good look. Like, I like the jacket, but without the jacket, the gun holsters.
Yeah.
We're learning so much about Maggie's preferences today.
Is anybody surprised?
No. RZ, I feel like knows the best.
I
The
feel like
sale of purple turtlenecks.
I'm like almost there with you, Maggie. You know what I mean?
No, he's looking good. Okay, and something that happens that like is kind of.
I just don't want to get to like the next thing. Like, can we just talk about this?
I know. No, we're gonna talk about Bucky.
It's okay. When things get upsetting, I'll just bring Zima back up.
Let's talk about Bucky's arm really quickly, though. Well, actually, it's at the end of the fight. Never mind.
It's at the end of the fight. So like. He gets literally disarmed. That's my joke for today. Okay.
Somebody, I saw a really interesting post on Twitter, and I don't know if I completely agree with it, but I like the perspective where they're like, I wonder if Bucky feels like, since he clearly did not know that they had a failsafe to make his arm drop off, that nobody actually trusted him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. That look on his face where like he was like so happy in that flashback being like, I'm free, I'm finally free. And like when T'Challa gives him that arm to be like, we got work to do, you know, he's like, I'm ready to go be an Avenger, help my friend Steve, you know. And then to discover like the way like Sam's like, did you know they could do that? And Bucky's like, no.
And then he does the same thing of in Winter Soldier, that he resets the arm.
You know what would have been worse though, is if they had like, if Io had like a remote detacher.
Oh yeah.
Because at least she needs to get close enough to detach the arm. So there's a level of trust there that he's not going to kill her until she detaches the arm. But if she'd had like a remote to drop the arm out of his socket, that would have just, I think that would have just ended
what
it.
I was also scared about was like,
he would have
it
just
wasn't
going
to work again. I got worried that it wasn't going to work again.
I thought she was going to take it. I thought she was going to take it and walk out. And I was like,
they were about to take the shield. They should have.
They should have.
They should have taken the shield.
That's what I was actually going to bring up. But I was like, let's talk about Bucky arm.
You'll get them back when you guys behave. Just take those toys away from those boys.
They're both Wakandan too, right? Like this arm it's like stamped right here. It's made in Wakanda.
It's
somewhere
vibranium.
on the shield. It's like in there.
It's all vibranium.
You know, yeah. Like we like this. I mean, it's also like even with Steve's shield, it's like we don't really know how y'all got this vibranium. So I did feel that basically, one of the Dora Milaje kind of like gets the shield or whatever, and is totally. I loved it so much because that character. You could feel the like she has already presupposed that I took it from him. It's mine. Like it's in her hand, and she's just like hanging out. And then they're like, you know, you got to leave that. And she's like,
and also the fact that she flips it from the floor and grabs it like Steve used to do.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love the Dora Milaje so much. So I just felt like that was I love that they added that. That would like really.
Yeah. I'm so excited about the series, the Wakanda.
Yeah, Ryan, he has like a few, like I think he was signed on to do a few different series.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool if he focused on them because I would love to know like the process of becoming one. And, you know, that'd be good. Just kick-ass women. I'll take that.
Also kick-ass women. You know, kick-ass black women on a show that you don't get a lot in choreography and strong power. And then on top of it, cherry on top is like, who are they beating up, by the way? Oh, some asshole pretending to be Captain America.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all we have been wanting this entire time. We're like, someone smack that guy.
Release the hour-long cut of John Walker getting
Punch
Yeah.
him in the face.
A punchable face.
Yeah.
And can we just say that Wyatt is doing such a good job playing this
Oh,
character?
yeah. Why?
He's doing a good job.
I was at my
Respect.
parents' house earlier today, and during my lunch break, I was watching the episode. My dad just walks in, and he looks at the screen for a second, and he's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "The new Captain America," and he's like, "The new Captain America looks like a douchebag." I'm like, "He is."
He's right.
Also,
Casting.
he really loves Daniel. He's like, I like him. He's,
Your
he's
father
good
is a
actor.
man of taste.
Yes,
Yeah.
he has his
He
favorite.
knows.
I'm like, it's a Bucky show. I was trying to explain that to him.
No, it's the Zemo show now.
No, yeah, the Zemo.
Simo Cho.
It's
It
just
flipped
1
quick.
hour of him dancing every week.
Yeah.
flipped
Actually,
so
that would
fast.
be preferred because we got to talk about it. Okay.
I don't want to talk about it.
We got to
Let's
talk
move
about one
it.
thing before we get to the end,
Oh,
though,
yes.
which is the
About-
phone call.
Yeah, that's what we're going to next. Carly.
I thought we were going to the
yeah, we're not going to the
But-
very end yet. But
Right before, just the funny thing is that they mentioned when Simo escapes, when they're all fighting. Yeah, he pulled a El Chapo.
I love that so much.
He pulled an El Chapo. Also, that's why I mentioned the big bathtub. Well, actually, I'm going to be honest. I actually mentioned the big bathtub because I'm obsessed with big bathtubs. But also, that was how he escaped. It was like, you know why this bathtub is so big? It's my way out. I love this guy. I love it.
I love him so much.
I love
Yeah.
how much he plans ahead.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it's insane
So
the amount.
smart.
He's ready for everything. And yeah. So Carly's trying to be like a villain. She's trying so hard. Like you
She
can
tried
tell
really
like
hard.
this is not her forte. But she's like threatened Sam's sister and her two sons. And
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
and like Sarah has that great line. My world doesn't matter to America, so why should I care about its mascot? Because she's like, Sam is not working with this guy. Trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm iffy. Or this scene gave me like so many feelings.
Yeah.
I just feel like, yeah, she's trying really hard, but I just also feel like I know they like the writers sort of have to make her a villain, and let me tell you, that action definitely does make her a villain, but it just felt weird, or it felt like, yeah, it just felt very not natural for that character. But like you said, maybe that's what she's going for. Like,
Yeah, she's
trying.
getting desperate, and she
Yeah.
feels like she's like saw this on a movie, and she's like, I'm gonna do this. This is what you do. You threaten the family, you know, right?
I mean,
It
they
didn't
tried
feel
so
like-
hard and got so far, and yeah.
Speaking of movies, apparently Bucky probably watched a documentary about El Chapo.
El Chapo, yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
That's a good
Or
point, Kate.
Sam
That's a good
just
point.
said it, and Bucky agreed because he wants to agree with his boyfriend. He's like, I'll look it up later.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's like,
like,
yeah,
adds it
El
to the
Chapo. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, El Chapo. Who is? I don't know.
He's like, we
I've
don't
done
got
that.
time for this.
I have 100% done that. If a cute person, let me tell you, especially Bucky Barnes, or I mean Sam Wilson or Bucky Barnes says anything, yeah, totally.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I
agree with
agree.
that. I'm gonna agree
100%.
with that.
Yes.
I know that. Have you seen that? I know who he is.
Not
I-
recently, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mhm, you like it? I love it too.
I
yeah.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
El
Yeah.
Chapo, ha ha ha. I get it. I'm smart.
You're so
Love it.
funny. You're so
I love that
funny.
show.
I love that show.
I love that show.
Oh my god. Oh
Yeah.
god, we gotta talk about it. We gotta talk about it.
Yeah.
No.
All right,
So-
we can inch closer to it. So,
Okay, so-
we had very awkward scene where the person who is not a villain tries really hard to be a villain. I mean, she laid some
Yeah,
very base
She
villain
scared
vibes.
Sarah.
I
She
was
scared
like,
Sarah.
how? Yeah,
I know.
and I
Don't threaten kids. Don't threaten those kids. They're adorable. Don't
exactly.
threaten kids.
We can always back up and we can discuss the other scene where like LeVar and John have like that
Yes.
conversation on
Yes.
Afghanistan where they're like clearly trying to make us like sympathize with John, which like not working.
Mhm.
No, but and this is the thing. One of the points is that they said something like, "Well, the things that we did were a long way to being right." And yeah, I can understand that, but dude, you're not taking that as a learning step on, okay, I'm gonna do better or whatever, right? He's just getting this mantle of Captain America and getting entitled to it.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Lamar is literally doing the same exact work as John, but he's getting none of the recognition, and that just shows, like, they're trying to make it like a humorous scene with the two of them, being like, oh, she didn't ask for my autograph, but really there's that undertone of being like, you know, you can't be a symbol. The government doesn't want to see you as a symbol.
I agree.
Yeah, which is really hard because also in that scene, I mean, it's another one which is, like I said, it's super interesting the way they've really in this episode balanced like Sam and John and like being Captain America. It's like, you know, really the undercurrent, and how they ask John is asking now that he's got the super soldier serum. He's asking more or less hypothetical too, right?
Yeah.
But you know, Battlestar doesn't know that. But he's asking about it, and so it really, I think it's super interesting because it really highlighted he said it himself, right? This thing magnifies the parts that are in you. Yeah. And I think it made a really good point of showing us too that, like, I mean, just the military is complicated, and the people in it are not monoliths and are also complicated. And you know what, you can have some heroes, and then you can have some people who've done some really bad stuff. And it was interesting seeing kind of two people who are those examples. Like, I mean, I'm sure Battlestar has done some bad stuff as well, but like you said, like the Battlestar has a very much more like clear guiding light and is trying to do the right thing. Whereas John Walker, we are constantly being like, what are you doing here, bud? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? So it was really heartfelt to see them sort of having this, even though I don't like John Walker, I still was kind of like, oh, depth from this character though. Like, really like he is trying to figure out what's the right thing to do here, except that then he always makes the bad decisions.
Yeah, he doesn't have that guiding light. And also just going back to Carly, is like she gets to Sarah to contact Sam because he you can see that he made an impact with her.
Yeah,
with what
she wants to continue the conversation.
Yeah, and we saw that they did that they met again, and then she pulled Kylo Ren on Sam, like, I want you to join me.
It wasn't me this time.
I know. I'm so proud of you, Arzu.
I'm sorry, but
I actually didn't put it together, but
no.
I wanted to join me.
It all circles back to Kylo Ren. Everything in the
oh my god!
The thing is, everything does circle back to Kylo Ren. You just made a bunch
of new best friends saying that.
Oh, great!
Because it always comes back to Kylo Ren.
Always.
It does. It always circles back. I mean, it really was. I actually really enjoyed that too, because like I said, this show has just done such a good job of being like, throw out good guys and bad guys. Like, let's take good guys and bad guys and throw them out. And I think it's because Captain America, especially in Marvel, not even just in the MCU, is one of the ultimate good guys, quote unquote. And I think even how they in the show bring up Steve Rogers, they're constantly bringing him up as like this, how he was always perfect or how he always made the like best decisions. So I love that the bad guy is like, yo, like you actually, you said enough, Sam, that I agree with you. And even Sam has been like, you've said enough good things that I think that, yeah, we can find some middle place. And of course she like has to try to establish herself as a bad guy and definitely oversteps, because then Sam kind of comes in hot, but he still like takes the time. Even though, like, I mean, let me tell you, I'm not very tough, but I imagine I'd be pretty pissed if anybody threatened somebody I love. And he does come in hot. He does come in with his, metal arm boyfriend, but he still like takes the time to try to have this conversation with her. I love that they had so many good nuanced conversations this episode.
Somebody brought up like the parallel of Steve and Civil War talking about Wanda and just being like, she's just a kid. And Sam says the same exact thing about Carly, and they're like both these young women are very powerful and strong, and they want to help them. But of course, John Walker comes again. I'm sorry, Maggie, keep drinking. Have you drunk enough?
Cheers.
Have you drunk enough?
Everybody take a drink.
Everybody, I think I finished mine.
Yeah, we gotta mention that.
Like, one more thing. Oh, yeah, Sharon.
Yeah, Sharon.
Oh, we
helped.
forgot to mention Sharon. That's how much she was in this episode and how much of an impact she had.
I just want to say Sharon, because especially last episode when she was beating the crap out of all those dudes, I fell in love. I want to say to the character of Sharon, I am so sorry that we have not brought you up before this. She had a small part, but it was important. She was the satellite. She had access
He
to the
tried to
satellite.
save John Walker's sorry, pathetic life.
Yeah.
We question her judgment sometimes, but it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, now that she's a bad guy, I'm fine with her loose judgment. I'm like, no, she's a bad guy. When you're a bad guy, you can make all kind of bad decisions. It's like, whoops, well, I don't know. I'm the bad guy. I'm not the good guy.
She's more like an indifferent guy right
See, that's
now.
the great thing about being the bad guy. Like, there's none of this, like, what are they going to think about me? It's just like,
Do what you want to do.
but I
I
don't
mean,
care.
It's
I'm
like
an
also,
RC
yeah,
fan.
it's also kind of how we got there too, where like Zemo, it was something we kind of papered over just because there's a lot that happened. But basically, he shot.
He shot Carly.
Yeah, he shot Carly for us to even like to get the super soldier serum. Like he shot her to get here. So it is that thing where it's like when you're a bad guy, look, we just sew this up in 5 minutes.
And I was like, she's fine. She'll be
She's
fine.
fine.
Yeah, she'll be fine. She's a super
fine.
soldier.
That's why
She
like
had the
also
serum.
Sharon is like, oh yeah, I can. What are the ethics of like following somebody around and like giving their location without them knowing? It's like I don't give a shit. That's the least amount of stuff I do today. So whatever. He's right here.
Yeah.
Hey, I think they're gonna come get him.
Yeah. And oh my God. Okay. Can I just say that I told you guys, I told you all this off before, but this is like the weirdest MCU has ever made me feel. I mean, Endgame made me cry, even though I obviously knew what was going to happen. But this is like the moment that like kind of kicked me in the stomach and made me so uncomfortable. That like
Yes.
I'm having so many issues with it. Like my dog has a Shield dog toy that squeaks and he loves it, but I'm feeling uncomfortable looking at it.
Content
right
warning
now.
for our viewers. Stuff's about to pop up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hoping they all saw that. Okay.
I mean, just if it's very abrupt. I just wanted to put it out there.
Yeah. No,
I
thank you.
know.
I mean,
And this is no. Go ahead, please.
That needed
Oh.
to trigger that whole scene. I had a
Yeah,
one.
I was gonna say. I mean, let's also take a quick step just to like recap a bit. So, like, basically, it seemed like Carly's plan with Sam was, I think, also really interesting because it was like a side thing, right? She was personally trying to have a good deal with Sam and keep him out of the way of the plan. And the plan was like kill Captain America, basically, because they kind of knew that he was gonna come.
She had points. I like them.
Yeah, exactly. So, while that's going on, then of course, like once everybody figures it out, we all come together. And when we all come together, there's a lot of super soldier fighting. We found out that John Walker, Captain America, is I mean, I don't like to call him Captain America, but in the zeitgeist of the
John
MCU,
Walker, yeah.
officially, guy with the shield does have superpowers again and is superpowering around.
Yeah, and we see that Sam asks, "What'd you do?" Oh, they have Lamar, and then they walked away.
And for like a second, we also get, I thought it was super interesting too. You did get for this 1 second, Captain America and the Falcon again in the like weirdest timeline I've never wanted ever. But they were working together, except then Battlestar guy gets punched.
Okay,
I
is
know.
this just the light of his eyes? Is that?
I
Just
think
the
it's
lighting?
just the light because
Damn it!
Yeah, like his eye has like a mark in it. I noticed in some of the other scenes too. I don't know if maybe he had like got hit or slept weird or something.
Okay, I was just hoping something like he got serum and he's not dead because I really like the character.
Not to jump ahead to the bad thing that happens to Nico, but can I just say that the actor who plays Nico is like a 2-for-1. He's from Toronto and he lived in Maryland, so he's like a 2-for-1 for 2 of his here, and then they killed him.
I know. And also talking about that fight when all of them are fighting, you can see that even Bucky does this really cool thing with the knives, like he did in Winter Soldier.
My heart.
And then John Walker, why all the knives? But you can see that both of them, Sam and Bucky, and Bucky, what they're doing is they're fighting, but they're not trying to harm the Flash Mashers. Like
Bucky throws the knife like at the head, but not at the head.
Not the head. So they're like, okay, I'm going to stop you from attacking this fella, but I'm not going to try to harm you. That was a really good point.
That's an Avengers thing.
Exactly. And we can see it. I mean, we can see it even in Civil War when they were fighting each other. I mean, Wanda tells Hawkeye, like, yeah, you were pulling your punches because you didn't want to hurt Natasha. So stuff like that. You can see that they were just trying to stop or protect whatever, but not to actually inflict any harm.
Yeah, and they don't have the training like other Avengers did. And okay. So Harley, I don't think she purposely tried to kill Lamar.
No.
She looks horrified.
Yeah, she
looks horrified.
And
Just wanted to kick him out of the way.
Yeah, the music, the sound that starts once that happens, it just like it causes this uneasy feeling, and it's amazingly done. Let's just say that, because it made me feel things that I didn't think the MCU could make me feel. Because I'm like usually there with my popcorn, just being like, this is a fun show, movie, thing like that. And WandaVision made me cry. This is making me really uncomfortable. And yeah. So the reason this is called The Whole World is Watching isn't just because people saw the Avengers walking by and posted it on Twitter. It's because people videoed and saw Captain America literally like
beheading a guy.
Yeah, beheading a guy.
Let's talk about it.
Slowly.
And this is the thing. It took this scene was a dark mirror of the ending of Civil War, where Tony and Steve are fighting, and you see that Bucky is already without his metal arm, and they're fighting, and then he starts punching him, and at one moment he lifts the shield at Tony, and Tony covers his head like he thinks he's gonna kill me. No, but he destroys the arc reactor on his chest. But you can see, and Chris Evans, kudos to him, because it's so good that you can see in his face the remorse, like he had to do that.
Too far. Like
I went too far.
Even just punching him was too far for Steve Rogers.
Yeah, and it's like he destroys the arc reactor, and this here we see that obviously this guy didn't stop, and it was so poignant because the guy said, it wasn't me. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And this is of course the guy too who was saying in the cemetery, I used to be a fan of Captain America as a kid. And
when the idol beheads you.
And the shield. I know they say don't hate your idols, but hang on, everybody. I didn't know it was because of this.
And it's back to the words of Dr. Erskine in First Avenger when he said the serum amplifies everything that is inside. So good becomes great, bad becomes worse.
And you know what? People on Twitter and everything are comparing also, like, Steve lost Bucky.
Yeah.
And
that's
he
what
just tried to get drunk.
Yeah.
But he couldn't.
You know, I think I love that you made that connection to Civil War. I feel like it's a what's up, drug Maggie? Yeah.
Maggie has to talk about this. It's the only way we could get her.
I don't blame her. Yeah. Honestly,
I
was like, I should have poured some more whiskey getting into it now. Because that was one where I was like, my partner was working over here. I was watching it where I am right now. And so I was just like, oh, like I let out this. I can't even do the gasp as loud as I did then. And was just like, I mean, it shook me because one, I think you're totally right, Candace, in that I don't know if the MCU has ever taken a leap this violent and this far and this dark and
only
like
on Netflix.
Right? Maggie said in her review, it was like Homelander.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
Go ahead. Mom afterwards, I was like, this feels, because like my mom's never watched The Boys, but I was like, this feels like watching that like super violent superhero show I watch. Like,
it did feel like that, and I think in another way too. The first thing that actually kind of came to my head, and then when I was like decompressing with my partner, who was like, "What was that noise?" But I think it also ties in something that has been happening a lot in this episode. Which is that and it's been happening the whole show, but I think in this episode did a really good job of being like if he's the symbol of America, right? Like he busts in without jurisdiction, right? He does whatever, but then he asks other people about jurisdiction. He shows up when it's like, can't we talk things out? And he turns things violent. And so then it just goes to show you again, in another country, in a place where whatever, somebody who has America emblazoned on their chest is like murdering somebody. And then later on, we're supposed to assume like everybody in the world is just supposed to love this symbol that is, America. So anyway,
that's
I
what
wish.
Richard. Yeah.
I'm so curious to see what's going to happen next week because there's like 3 avenues that they can take as far as like the US government. Like they can be like, "Oh, it was a really bad person." Or like,
He
"Oh,
had a
really
really
bad
bad day.
He had a
really
bad day. But like this person that he killed had like hurt so many people and it was the
he was a
only
terrorist.
option." Or they're gonna be like, "I don't know what you're talking about. This was all fake. This is the flag smashers like orchestrating something to make you think that Captain America's
It's
bad."
CGI. It's
Gaslighting.
CGI. Yeah.
Or they're gonna be like, "So actually, this isn't our captain. We're gonna take the shield back and hey Sam, hey, we know that like we kind of dicked you over, but here's this.
We got
here's
some
the shield."
PR we need fixing.
Oh
But
my
okay,
God.
so again, like Richard Newby he works for the Hollywood Reporter. He said this. The death of Lamar, killed by this flag smasher, unleashes something else, a walking mascot for America, the real America, in all its carelessness, cruelty, and displaced sense of justice.
Wow.
It's like that, like
Wow.
Steve as Captain America is like the ideal of America, what we long to be, while John Walker's Captain America is what we actually are. And like you guys were saying, like going in without jurisdiction, talking down to people, just being impatient, and that's what actually America is. And
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's uncomfortable, but it's right.
But thinking back on it, I'm like again, looking at my dog's Captain America toy, I am shocked that they did something that is like a merchandise for them,
I can't look at that shield the same way again. Like, I'm so sorry.
Speaking of merchandise, they knew what was coming. Like they knew this was going to happen, and they got all this John Walker merch. And I cannot for the life of me think who's buying this.
They made a Funko of him.
They made a Funko. They made a Black Series. They made T-shirts with him. There's a whole thing, and I'm like, excuse me, what?
Funko and Black Series, I get for like completionist people that want one of everything. Like somebody will purchase it, but like T-shirts and mugs that aren't really part of a set. And you're just buying it to like proudly declare that John Walker is my Captain America. Like, who is buying this?
Imagine you bought it like 2 weeks ago, and you're just like, everybody's too hard on this guy. Like everybody is so mean to John Walker, and then you're just wearing it.
He's just
today.
trying his best.
Oh,
he's trying his best.
Not
And
see
you're
the
like,
writing
Look,
on the wall
guys,
with this guy.
he had a bad day. Don't
He
be
just
so
had a bad
hard
day.
on him.
I mean, I think that's what's so interesting, because all of the avenues that you described are like what happens in real life. And I think that's why it really is that poignant metaphor of like, this is what America is. And I think also I read some other articles too about bringing in Isaiah and the storyline that Isaiah is from. I think it's called, was it like Truth,
Red.
Oh yeah,
and blue.
Truth, Red, White, and Black.
Black.
And like how that is that in itself is an extreme, like sort of controversial storyline, but one that has stuck because it really also shows, like, it complicates the narrative around Captain America. So it was interesting now that I thought that already just doing that, right, like bringing in a Black super soldier that had been experimented on and then sent to prison, I was already like, wow, they're not pulling punches. Except now I'm like, they're not pulling punches. I mean, they're actively like throwing stuff at us.
No, like, and this is the interesting point, is that we didn't mention that the power broker is still chasing after Carly and the Flag Smashers about the serum. And also, well, it was mentioned, I think, that maybe Ross is going to appear. So, yeah, not my favorite character, but it's going to be interesting how it's going to play out as well. So,
Spellman said next episode we will cry.
Oh, yay!
Be prepared for that. It will be 61 minutes long. Whoa. I don't know if that's with credits, but we're getting an extra long episode. I really hope they're finally like in New Orleans and like Bucky and Sam really hash it out.
Well, we know we have that scene of them on Sarah's boat.
Yeah,
New Orleans,
or seen them with the nephews. Or anything in New Orleans with the two of them.
I also feel like, in a lot of the promotional stuff, we've seen Sam chunking the shield in what looks like a very, like, New Orleans looking, sort of backdrop. So I think there might be some credence to the idea that, like, America will be like, yeah, like, because I mean, even nowadays, I think it's almost, it's poignant to bring up things that are happening in real life, and like we're seeing this, the trial of Derek Chauvin, and I think that that's like something that can be shown, right? Like the defense is like one guy had a bad day, or like the crowd was too much, or this police, that's why this police officer killed this man, and like, oh no, he was trained to do it, or like all of these sort of excuses that you can kind of see how that they might do the same thing here, right? Oh, where the flag smashers are bad, so you know what I mean, he just did what he had to do. But also I do feel like maybe though the reason we haven't seen those New Orleans scenes is maybe they are gonna be like, we're gonna write off John Walker, take the thing, kind of try to bring Sam back, but either way we've got this superpower bad guy in limbo no matter what, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that
like what Maggie was saying is like the government's gonna be like,
Oops.
we ooped.
Whoopsie-daisy.
We ooped.
Oopsie
You're an
daisy.
Avenger. You got some good press on you. Here's a shield. Go make it better. Kind of thing. So it's just like and the thing is like, is Sam gonna want it after that? Because even before he was talking like, I should have destroyed it. He said I should have destroyed it. And even like if he has a shield, does he want it to possibly go to someone else again and have this happen again?
Yes. That's going to be interesting.
It's so much. And I really hope they aren't dropping like the Isaiah storyline. They have to go back to him.
I know
pay
they
that
have
off.
to.
I feel like they've set up so much of like new Avengers that I feel like we have to at least come back to him one more time.
Is that what the TV series are? Just like, oh, here WandaVision
Set up, yeah.
And then
right? They're just like
here's Eli.
I feel like, watch, I'm telling you, I don't even know that in Loki, right? It's just gonna be like, oh look, America Chavez, or like, oh hey, look, I'm Hulkling over here, just randomly in the background. But that's the other thing, right? Like, not in the forefront. I guess the twins in WandaVision got a lot of time, but I'm just like, I feel like, yeah, it'll be funny if the new Avengers are always just random cameos. Like, I'm gonna get a hot dog, and it's just like Kate Bishop, like, there you go. They shot a hot dog from a string. There you go, bud. Have your hot dog.
There you go.
I can guarantee that Bucky will head on Sarah Wilson because I saw it in a promo, and Sam gets mad.
Dang.
But of course, you know what? Bucky might not even be flirting. He might just be his like hot self and be like, "Hey, Stan."
And then Sam's just jealous because he's like, "Why is my boyfriend flirting with my sister?"
I know.
Exactly. Yeah. No, and I think that so far what I've liked from this series and also WandaVision, I think I told Candace is that these characters were not in the spotlight on the movies, and most of the movies, obviously, Tony, Steve, and I like how they're fleshing them out and put them into the spotlight and weaving these storylines around them. And it's really nice. I even said that Ayo, I like that they wrote Ayo instead of Okoye or Shuri herself. That there's a story behind that, and I like that.
Yeah, they bring up so many characters. It's good to see them. And like, I've always liked Sam, but I was like, do I like Sam or do I like Anthony Mackie? Because he doesn't have like too many scenes, but like definitely the series, like Sam has my heart.
Yes, give him all the Emmys, please.
So the question, do you like Sam or Anthony Mackie? The answer is yes.
Yes, both.
The answer
Both.
is yes.
Both is good. Both is good.
Both-
And I'm gonna get another dog and name him Sam,
Yes.
so Sam and Bucky can have little adventures.
Oh my god. Yeah, I think that like I watched Civil War so much. Like, it is my comfort movie when I got married and it was just me and like my little crew for like you do nothing right now while we're getting everything ready. It was like, okay, let's watch Civil War because I'm too anxious. It's like I love that movie so much. So I knew that I was gonna love Sam and Bucky, but I feel you where I didn't know about Sam as a character all the way because he has been. I mean, I think that's why it's cool that they struggle or that they show him struggling with the sidekick, sort of like the way people put that on him, because he's kind of been shown that way in the MCU. Like, he hasn't had his own movie or anything.
Yeah,
so.
he literally says like, I do everything he does, meaning Steve. I just do it slower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or yeah, people who people who start shooting at you usually start shooting at
They're
me
shooting
too.
at me, yeah.
But it's also kind of like that thing where it's like, oh, okay, so you're just actively around gunfire for the like benefit of your friend. And so yeah, it's like there were always there's like some depth there, but I love that we're really exploring it, because I think as somebody who also like I feel like I have feet in both camp, where like I agree with what Sam is saying. I agree with what the flag smashers say sometimes. Obviously not the like, hey, let's randomly blow up people, but the like their general thesis of like, let's try to make this sort of like one world and just remind ourselves that. I think that both of the characters, like Carly less, but I think let's talk about Sam more. I think Sam actually and Bucky more are showing that like revolution comes oftentimes through like not violence actually, and the harder thing to do is like have compassion and like trust people. And so I love that that's sort of becoming Sam's sort of like character isn't just like, oh, I can fly and stuff, but it's like Sam has compassion and like he really cares about people.
We don't have to spill blood to do this. Like that's not his go-to. And you know what? Like even Steve was like, let's go into battle. Sam is more like, he's more about let's talk to people and let's do this.
Yeah, I mean,
everyone's like, oh, there's not another Steve Rogers. There doesn't need to be. We got a Sam Wilson.
Yeah, let's remember how he helped him and Natasha when they need help in Winter Soldier, and even how they got the guy from S.H.I.E.L.D. and they just Sam helped them before reaching to Maria Hill and Nick Fury. So
yeah. Any other thoughts, feelings before we go, people?
Zemo.
I know you love your Zemo.
Yeah, we love Zemo. We love Anthony Mackie.
We love Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan.
Thank you. That holster just looks so good.
I gotta say, I'm glad he lost that rap battle to Eminem. So we have it. That's an Avenger.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! You're bringing up 8 Mile now. Now imagine him coming all of these years later with his full Falcon suit, and he's rapping with the Falcon suit.
Wait, that was Anthony Mackie?
Yes,
he was Papa Doc.
Papa Dog.
Oh my God! I haven't seen that movie since it came out.
So long.
That was so long ago.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I think I just want to say thanks for having me. Yeah, because this has been great. I love talking about the MCU so much. Yeah, and I think also, if anything, I think the other last thing I would just say about this show is like, if you're feeling a lot of stuff, like definitely go. I think this is a show to like talk to your friends about, even if they're not super like MCU nerds, because I think the way they bring up a lot of these political ideas, the complications, the way Zemo had some good points, the way the Flag Smashers have good points, the way that Sam has good points. There's a lot of discussion to be had here, which is not something that we always get with the MCU. So I love that. And I encourage people to like watch the show, watch the episodes, and then like go talk to your friends about like how they felt about it. Cause I think it reveals a lot about us.
Yeah. I hope that they like realize that people are reacting to this and are okay with these kind of stories being told, because like they can do more of it eventually. And feel like the TV series are a chance to expand. I just hope Loki's weird. Let Loki be weird.
Yeah, let Loki. It looks weird. Let it be weird. But also, yes, just before the last thing I will say is I have to be on Team Zemo. Also, Maggie, just so you know,
everyone's
on
Zemo.
You've always got it. Yeah, I honestly, I remember when they showed the mask, I was like, he doesn't have the crown. They better make up for it. And I was like, oh, they replaced the crown with sexiness. Okay, I'll take it. Yeah.
Right?
With swagger. He got swagger.
Yeah.
And like emotionally closed off bougie bitch is my type. So
just checking the boxes. Checking the Maggie's boxes.
All of them.
Okay, so Maggie, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at Maggie of the Town, and I've got a friendly little link tree thing so you can find all of my other links.
All right. You can find me on Twitter at Arzuamin. You can find me at arzudt2.com. And you can find me at the Geeky Waffle Network and on the website, where 10 days from now, we will be launching Space Waffles, a Star Wars podcast, hosted by yours truly and reined in by Candace.
Yes, I'm
A Raylo podcast.
A Raylo podcast.
A Raylo podcast.
She's
A
allowed to have a
50%
Kylo
Raylo
minute.
podcast.
She's allowed to have a Kylo minute per episode.
Yay.
30 seconds. I'm timing
But
her.
wait, if she's editing them, doesn't that mean she can have as many minutes?
We're telling her it's a Kylo minute.
Recorded in your closet. Okay.
A Kylo minute.
Okay, Candace is in here right now. So,
Okay.
Kylo Ren's abs. Oh my god.
Anyway, let's hit Kylo Ren.
And you can find that at thegeekywaffle.com.
Awesome. And also, well, I'm Norhal, and you can find me on Twitter at Norhal and talking about MCU, Marvel, DC, pop culture in general. Star Wars mostly.
Star Wars.
Yay.
I love this so much. Sorry, I just love meeting geeks. It's great. Especially Star
New
Wars
friends.
and MCU geeks. Yay! Yes. You can find me at MB Adams TV. That's my Twitter, and then that'll lead to my Twitch, where I spend most of my time. And yeah, I play a lot of I have a weird mix where I play a lot of Stardew Valley, which is very calm, and then I play a lot of Apex Legends. So it goes back and forth between when I'm feeling amped and when I'm feeling chill. Either way, we do talk a lot of MCU there. So if you're feeling like you want to hang out, MB Adams at Twitch. Yeah. Or on
Awesome.
Twitch.
Yeah, you can find me at Candace is a Geek on Twitter and also geeky_waffle. That's mostly me tweeting. Occasionally I will share ideas from others, but it's mostly me. But yeah, thank you for joining us on the Sam and Bucky Squared Show. My Bucky is currently asleep.
Aww.